Welcome to the Live Sports of New Mexico show. This is the show where we talk about how our life and how sports really connect, and really how we could apply what we learn in sports and team sports and individual sports, and how we could apply it to our lives. So this is the show we're going to talk about what do we do in pressure situations. You know, some of you guys, you got the game-winning play. The game is on the line. The championship's on the line. What are you thinking? What's going through your mind? How do you handle that? And also different expectations that people put on you. How do you handle that as you move forward in life? And then we're also going to talk about how we can make others around us better. You know, we always strive to be great ourselves, but I think it's really important as leaders is to, you know, try to make everyone better. My name is Chris, and this is my co-host Brian. We have a lot of things going on over at Legacy. You know, we had the Legacy basketball camp is still going. I'm still surviving. I'm making it through.
You're doing good?
Yeah, I'm handling it. And it was funny. You know, my coaches they're around me and they think, man, why are you smiling so much all the time? It's like, it's just really cool to, like, you know, I grew up in these basketball camps, right, and now I'm overseeing it. I'm leading it. I'm seeing things that my coaches didn't work in these camps now, so it's really cool. We doubled our numbers from last week, and then the word really got out, so I'm really glad where Legacy Academy is going.
And I love camps because I think it is an opportunity to get better and to help others get better, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit later today. And you know, when it comes to pressure, I think about a diamond. You know, diamonds are made and created because of years and years of being under pressure, and it's just pretty amazing how at the end of the day how valuable it becomes. And it's the same is true with us when we face pressure, when we go through things, when we're in pressure situations. At the end of the day, we become better, we become more valuable than we were before. And so what's something, Chris, in your life, I always like to kind of make it personal, but what's something in your life, what's a pressure situation that you faced at some point?
Well, it was definitely, you know, figuring out where to go to college after high school. That was huge for me because just growing up in California, there was other schools around the area that, you know, I was interested in, but I just had a big dream since I was a little kid, just to play for a big school. Just, you know, being a big atmosphere, hit a game-winning shot, whatever it was. And so I was really like thinking, like, man, should I really go for, you know, being a walk-on at UNM, you know, good program, but I don't know if I'm going to get much playing time, or do I go to another school like a Division II school and think like, okay, I'll get playing time, but then I wouldn't play in front of a lot of people, or it wouldn't be, you know, those big games. So that was something that was really going back and forth. My high school coach can tell you. He's like, because I was like, one time I was like, all right, I'm staying here. I'm staying in California. That's it. Help me find somewhere here. Yeah. And then I was like, oh well, you know what? I want UNM so bad. It's just the pit. You know, I just love being in it. And so I'm glad. Like during that situation, I just really had to just, you know, put it in God's hand and say, where do you want me to go? So it was just a big leap for me. I lived in California for 18 years, and now I'm finding myself living here, giving back to this community. So it all worked out at the end.
Yeah, it did, and you know, and now look at you. You're adding value to people around you, to the community. You're making things better, and it's because of the pressure that you went through and the pressure that you faced. You're better because of it, and now you're making others better too. So that's awesome. And one of the things with pressure that I know is that oftentimes we put pressure on ourselves. Right. Sometimes more than anyone else is the pressure we put on ourselves to succeed, the pressure we put on ourselves to win, the pressure we put on ourselves to perform and to perform well, and sometimes that is the hardest kind. And yet also I think it's important. I think it's important that we do hold ourselves to a high standard. We hold ourselves accountable to do great things, to make good things happen. And but sometimes that can be some of the most difficult pressure. And I'd say this, Chris, and I'm sure you'd agree, with pressure, the best thing for us to do, the best way for us to perform well under pressure is preparation. We have to be prepared. If we're not prepared, then we're going to fail. If they say that failure to prepare is preparing to fail. Right. So we have to be prepared if we're going to perform well under pressure. What are some things you do to prepare well, like for this camp or when you were a player?
Right. Yeah, I remember just as a player, what really comes down to, and I tell people, tell the kids I coach and train, is that in practice, put pressure on yourself in practice. Like when you're at the free throw line, don't just shoot free throws casually and think, oh, I'm getting better because I'm making shots. No, like put something in your mind. Michael Jordan would do this. Kobe Bryant, they would do these things where they just like something, they would just think about something, or they would like, all right, I'm down 2 points. I got 3 free throws. I have to make this for the championship. You put pressure on yourself like that, and then if you miss, then it's like, okay, I got to run a certain amount of laps or do a certain amount of push-ups. You do that to yourself, and then when you're in a game, it's like,
I've been here before.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the first time you've been there because you put it already in your mind. So I think that's really important. Like even as a coach, I always think about, like, I haven't really seen difference. You know, there's still situations I haven't seen as a coach, and so I got to make sure that I do that. I got to say, okay, what happens if it's 30 seconds left, we have 1 foul to give, or whatever it is, we have 1 timeout, whatever. So I always kind of think about those situations, and I always view them and stuff. So I think it's really important for us to add pressure. It's healthy. It really is healthy for us to add pressure, so that when we are faced with real pressure, it's like, I've been here before.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, Chris, for you and I, we had kind of a support role, a backup role in many situations. And I just want to encourage you out there watching, maybe you're the backup, or maybe you're not first string, maybe you're not the starter. Take those mental reps as if you were out there. What would you do in those situations? Take mental reps. What decisions would you make? Would you shoot? Would you pass? Would you throw? What would you do? And when you do get in, when the opportunity does come, you'll be ready. You'll be prepared to thrive under that pressure because you've had the mental reps, and those are some of the most important reps that we can have to be successful.
Right, and I think, you know, even sometimes even coaches or parents, you know, put pressure on us. I mean, I know the big topic now is, you know, LeVar Ball is saying, you know, Lonzo's going to be Rookie of the Year. Yeah. He's going to lead the Lakers to the playoffs. I mean, he's trying to speak this into existence. And I remember, you know, watching throughout the summer league, you know, Lonzo had a, you know, bad first game. Everyone saying, oh, he's a bust. He's not going to be good. And then you could see his composure. He's just, I think it's because his dad he's just thrown this pressure. I was like, all right, son, you got it. Now it's on you. You know, LeVar can't play for him. No matter how much he talks, he can't play for him. But now he's adding pressure to him. And then, you know, Lonzo just has to handle it. And it's like, all right, well, this is what my dad expects. This is what other people expect. Yeah. Now I just got to go out there and perform. So
absolutely,
it could really, it either breaks us down or it builds us up. Either way, we have to handle it at one point in our life.
That's right. We're all going to face pressure. How are we going to respond to it? Are we going to be ready for it? Are we going to be prepared? Are we going to have the reps that we need to be ready? And we believe that you will. You're going to survive, and not only that, but thrive under pressure and be more valuable when it's all said and done. So thanks again for joining us today here at Life Sports. Stick around because we're going to be back with some great info for you. See you in a few.
Got away with one nonetheless.
He definitely created some contact.
Here we go, 2-1 game on. Sam Guido's gonna finish it. Show the replay and show you how it happened in just a moment. Here's Luke Lawrence.
Very nice PK.
it's going to be Jack Clancy's going to take this. Domiciano's there too, but I don't think this is going to be a left-footed take. Clancy, yes! Jack Clancy.
Hey, I said it earlier in the broadcast, Adam. He loves to.
This is dangerous as Galito will leave it off. Pacheco, does he want to have one? A cutback. Pacheco's in trouble now as he tries to switch it. Here's a 1-2, and again it's Galito. Galito's going to try to bend one. Yes! How about it from Sam Galito? It's gorgeous on the inside of the foot, and he
Welcome back to the Live Sports of New Mexico show. Today we are talking about how do we handle certain pressure situations and how do we prepare for those situations. And also, this is the part of the show we're going to talk about really making others around us better. I think that ties in to how we prepare and how we handle pressure, because people will look up to us. People will look to us and say, well, how do they handle it? You know, as a coach, as a pastor, you know, how do we handle pressure situations? And I think when they see how we handle it, then it makes them, us, people around us better.
Yeah.
And then they think like, okay, well, they handle it in a right way. And, you know, I think that's what Pastor Steve does. I mean, he's been, you know, under pressure a lot too. When he's at the pulpit and when he explains and says what he stands for, it really shows us like, man, that's how we have to be as Christians, how we have to stand in our faith. So I think it really is important, and that's how we make each other better is how we show people how we handle pressure.
Right. I remember a speech my coach gave. I think I've talked about it before. He said this before the season started. It fired the whole team up. He said, someone's watching you. And he said there's always someone watching you. And it just goes to show that as athletes, that we're all leaders. Right. That we're all leading people somewhere. And so the question is, where are you leading them? Are you making them better? Are you making them worse? Because we're all leading someone somewhere. And it's important for us to realize that and then take responsibility for it and help make people better. We don't want to be done with our life and turn around and look back and say, wow, I made everyone else around me worse. They're worse off for knowing me. We want to look back and say, people are better because they knew me. I made people better. I added value to people. And that's the kind of life I think we should strive to live, and especially as athletes, because there's so many people out there today, so many athletes that we look up to that we shouldn't. I mean, look at them. Yeah, they're cool, they're famous, but I mean, they're not making us any better. If we really follow them, they'll probably lead us down a terrible path. And so, man, the world needs good people that are going to lead people and help people to do good things. And so, I'd say this way: the world's counting on you to step up and to lead and to help people get better. Yeah, because you know we're not going to live forever. I mean, there's going to be people behind us. There's going to be people ahead of us. I think that's what's so great about sports too, is that we could see that. You know, like when I grew up, my favorite point guard was Derek Fisher. You know, he wasn't like the flashiest guy, but he led his team. He helped people around him get better. He was a leader for their championship runs. So I really looked up to him, and now as I'm now becoming a coach and I've played, now there's kids looking up to me, and you know, and I understand that because it's really about what I'm doing. What I'm doing is helping others get better because they're seeing my example, they're seeing what I'm doing, and so but that's just generation after generation. I mean, that's going to be passed down, and then someone else is going to see it. And that's the same like with coaching, with athletes. I mean, usually juniors or seniors, they know the culture of what the coach is trying to do. And it really is their job to help the freshmen and sophomores say, hey, you're really good, all right? You're a good player, but there's some things you need to figure out. And I definitely saw that in college. I mean, Darice Gary was a senior point guard at UNM, and then Kendall Williams coming as a freshman. You know, great player. You know, he won Freshman of the Year. But you know, Darice was really helping them figure out what UNM in basketball, what Coach Alford basketball is all about. Yeah, that's awesome. And there's something great that I heard that helps us make others better, and it's the word best. If you can remember the word best, you can bring out the best in others. And I'm going to break it down, and then we'll discuss it a little bit. But B in best, believe in people. Believe in them. Most people just need someone who believes in them. That's going to take them to another level. They need someone who believes in them. So believe in someone. Find someone that you can make better and truly believe in them and pour into them, get to know them. The second thing is this. It's E, encourage. Encourage someone. Encouragement, your words are so powerful. You can help make someone so much better. Encourage them, brighten their day. You have no idea how powerful your words are. So encourage someone. Tell them that you're proud of them. Tell them that you love them. Tell them they did good. Find something that's good about them and then talk about it. Compliment them. But believe in someone, encourage someone, and then the next thing is S, share with them. Share with them what you know. Share what you've learned. Share some of the experiences you've had to help them learn lessons that you've learned. Share with them. And then T is to trust them. Have them go out and do something that you're supposed to do. Trust them to go do something. Trust them to lead a practice. Trust them to make someone else better. Trust them. Give them some responsibility that they can do. And when you keep that in mind, BEST, B-E-S-T, believe, encourage, share, and trust, you're going to bring out the best in other people. And I'm sure you've done that many times before.
Yeah, without even thinking about it, because I know the first step, it really is believe, because if a player thinks that, a coach believes in them, even when the coach is harsh on them, that player's got to think, you know what, he or she wants the best of me. And so they're really good at, like, man, they're pushing me to be better and better. But you first have to tell a player, like, hey, I believe you can be great. You have so much potential. If you just fix this thing or that thing, you do this instead of that. Yeah. It's really important for them to understand that, because then they're like, you know what? Okay, he believes in me or she believes in me. Now it's my job to perform. It's the same thing with those expectations. If someone believes in you, that they have an expectation of you to be great or to reach your potential. And so I think it's really important for that belief in players is crucial.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I can remember coaches that believed in me, and I can remember coaches that didn't believe in me.
Right.
And it really does affect you. It affects your morale. It affects how you view yourself and see yourself. And I remember being a quarterback, and confidence is fragile.
Right.
Confidence is a fragile thing. I mean, I can be on top of the world after one practice, man, it's so great, and then the next day you have a bad practice, and it's like all is lost, and maybe I should quit. And confidence is so fragile, and so we have to keep that in mind as leaders, as captains, as coaches, and believe in people, even if they are having a bad day. Help them build their confidence. Let them know it's going to be okay. We all have bad days, and believe in them, encourage them, and bring out the best in them.
Yeah, and so that's that part, that encourage part, because we do have those tough times. We do, like, I know, as there's shooters out there that they could light it up, and the next game nothing goes in, and it's always a coach like, hey, as a coach, you don't tell that player, hey, stop shooting, because you know how good they are. You say, hey, I know you had a bad game, just get back in the gym, keep working on your craft, keep working on your shot. And I'll believe in you and trust in you to do better next time. So I think that encouragement is like, okay, well, now, I didn't play well. He's not saying, like, hey, play like that again. He's just saying, all right, he still wants me to do what I do best.
Right. Yeah, and then sharing with others, that it's always great. They say the best way to learn is to learn from other people's mistakes. That way you don't have to make the mistakes on your own and learn from them. But if you learn from someone else, well, then that's just wise. That's just wisdom. You don't have to go through any of the hurt, but you learn the lesson. And so let's share with other people so they can get better at the same time. And then the last, trust. And I see you doing a great job with this. You have your camps going on, and you have some great coaches around you that you've trusted with responsibility and doing things and helping make these players better.
Right, and it really is. That's what camps are all about. It's really, I could lead it and everything, I could structure it, but it comes down to the help. And then when the help is really good, parents see that, like, hey, man, your coaches are doing a good job with my kids, they're attentive to them. And so I really appreciate that when I could trust my assistants to help that. So I think you see it at the pro level. I mean, it's all about if you have good assistants behind the head coach, usually the head coach really looks good, because they're the face of it. But it really is all about if head coaches can trust their assistants, then that makes for a good program and a good team.
That's right. So remember, to bring out the best in others, remember the word best. Believe in them, encourage them, share with them, and trust in them. Stick around. We'll be right back with one more segment.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Welcome back to our Live Sports of New Mexico show. I hope you've enjoyed the topics we have been talking about, really how we tie in handling pressure and how to make others around us better, because we think it really is important. How you handle certain situations where you're not always getting what you want, or it's a situation where the decision you make, it can make or break you. It could be a big decision, that will say like, all right, if you do it this way, then this is going to happen. Or if you don't, then this might happen. So you're kind of going back and forth of what could happen. And so I think that's really what happens when we have a belief system. Everyone does. I mean, whatever you believe in. So I think it really is. That's when pressure can come to us, is when we think like, okay, they're questioning my beliefs, and it's like, what do we do in that situation? I mean, do we compromise and back down? It's like, all right, I'll do what you say, or since you're being mean to me, and I'm going to be nice to you. But do we say like, no, I stand firm with what I believe in. I don't care what you say, I don't care what you do, because I know when I was teaching the public schools, I mean, that kind of came about me, because when I was leading FCA, there was administration saying, I don't know, you should be talking about certain stuff you're talking about, or whatever it is. But I just knew that, I'm just going to stand firm with my beliefs, because I know what the Constitution has provided for us. I mean, it's the freedom to pray, not the freedom against prayer. It's the freedom. We have freedom of religion, so we could do that. And it wasn't a forced class. I didn't force people to take it. Right. It was just something that, hey, if you want to come and learn more about what God does in our life, come to this Bible club, basically. And so I just think that's really important for us. We got to really equip ourselves when it comes to our belief system. We have to stand firm, and we really have to get in the Bible and figure out, give them scripture, say, hey, this is what God says. It's not what I say. Yeah. This is basically what God says. Yeah, and I heard this before, Chris, that if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And we have to be able to stand, and really it's God that gives us the power and the strength that we need to be able to stand up. He gives us the power we need to overcome the pressure situations. He makes us better. Like, if we're going to be concerned about making others better, we have to let Him make us better. Right. We have to let Him make us stronger. We have to let Him make us powerful. And I know a big part of that is our relationships, who are around. And you mentioned FCA. FCA is a great organization, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Start one at your school, or join one if it's already there. Get involved in that so you can have that community and those connections and that support system for you to be able to stand up, for you to know, hey, there's people here who have my back. There's people here who know what I know and believe what I believe. There's people here that we can make a difference together. And when you have that, you're that much better and stronger. There's a great verse in the Bible. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 4. It says, 2 are better off than 1. For 1 can be easily defeated, but 2 can stand back to back and conquer. And I think it's a great verse for just showing like how important having good friends is. Right. Because things are going to come against us. Things are going to come our way, but we can together we can fight those things. By ourselves it may get us, but together, man, we're going to win. And get together with your friends. That's why being in church is so important. And we invite you to ours, Legacy Church, every week, twice a week. There's services, all the campuses, legacychurch.com. But
well, wherever it is, you need to be in church, you need to be connected, you need to have that community so you can be stronger and better to help others be better.
Right, and especially if you are in a leadership position, I mean, especially at the church, I mean, and you handle a certain situation the wrong way, or maybe you're posting stuff and it's like maybe you're out drinking, but you know, like, oh, I'm not getting drunk or whatever, but then people think like, oh, maybe that is okay. Or even, you know, thinking like, you know, maybe you're doing something, you say something that, you know, bad language or whatever, foul language, and you're like, oh, well, maybe that's okay too. But I think it's really, when it comes to making people around us better, if we're in leadership positions, we have to like, all right, this is how we handle things. This is what we do. This is why we do certain things. I mean, you know, that's why like I stay away from drinking, because I just don't want any part of it. I don't see why it's good. I don't see why people would do that. So it's really like my personal decision, and then maybe people around will say, all right, well, I'll do the same thing. And so I think that's where we have to really, when we stand with our beliefs and we handle those pressure situations, the people around us will look at that like, all right, if they're handling it that way, then I have to too. I mean, even like, you know, we work out, and sometimes it's like, you know, when you work out by yourself, you could compromise. You could say, you know, yesterday we were doing 50 reps of everything, you know, 50 deadlifts, 50 burpees. We could easily say, oh, I'm gonna just do 30, you know, I'm gonna do, so you compromise that. But if you have people around you working out with you, it's like, no, you finished. You said, we wrote it down, we're gonna finish. So I think it's really important to surround each other that are gonna help us, you know, hold each other accountable.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And again, it just goes back to having people in your life that can be with you and support you through it all, because we need that. We need people to make us better, and if we're going to make others better, we have to have that in our life. And then you said something earlier that really stood out to me, like if we're going to make a difference, if we're going to make a difference in the lives of other people, we can't be the same as everyone else. We can't be compromising. Like if we're going to get drunk, how can we tell someone else don't get drunk? Like that doesn't make any sense. If we're going to be the ones that are making an impact in the world, we have to be different from the world. We have to have a higher standard, a higher level of accountability. It doesn't mean we're better than anybody else, but we're better than ourselves, so we can help other people get better and become the best version of who God created them to be. And I believe this, Chris, that's why we're here as a show. And hopefully you're watching, because God has great things for you. God has a plan for your life, and it starts with accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior. The only way to God, the only way to get to heaven, the only way to start that relationship with God is by accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And so we encourage you, as we did last week as well, check out the verse Romans chapter 10, verse 9, and pray that prayer. Pray that prayer and accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Begin your personal relationship with God, and watch how He begins to work in your life, give you the strength and the power you need to become the best possible version of yourself.
And I hope we've helped you today. You know, whatever, spiritually, mentally, physically. You know, take these thoughts. You know, take them home. Look at the acronym BEST. You know, really evaluate it. And see how you could apply it to your life. You know, that's what this show is about. It's about, you know, taking in what we say, and then you guys go apply it. That's what we basically do. We just share our experiences, and then, you know, you guys think, okay, well, I'm not going to make that mistake, or maybe I'll approach it this way. So I think that's important. You know, take whatever we get. We're glad you guys tune in. Thank you for keeping this show going. We love doing what we're doing. And we hope to see you guys maybe at church, maybe on social media. You know, just give us thoughts, give us ideas that have helped you throughout this show. And maybe there's certain topics you want us to talk about. We could definitely get into that. So thank you for joining us, and then we'll see you next week.